Good evening. Welcome, everyone. I'm Felicia Lundquist, and we are here at our commission meeting for the Northampton Reparations Study Commission. And we are going to start off with a roll call so we can make sure we have quorum. So Bill Newman,
Here.
Felicia Lundquist present, Garrick Perry,
Here.
Marissa Elkins. She's not here. Marcia Morris.
She looks like she dropped. You can come back to her, I guess.
Okay. Renika Montgomery Tamaclo.
Here.
Jasmine Goodspeed. She's not here. Emma Khan Sudan. All right. And I'm going to come back to Marcia Morris just to make sure that we have quorum. Oh, I don't see Marcia.
Not have quorum. Again.
Oh, no.
Wait a few.
Here's Andrea's iPad. Hopefully this is Marcia maybe joining from another. Welcome, Andrea's iPad. Can you please let us know who you are?
They're muted too. This is Tom Weiner, and I think that's Andrea Battelle.
Oh, thanks.
Hi, Andrea Reber. Tom,
Oh,
I
oh
haven't
my
used
God.
Battelle in years.
My brain just went into a fog place about 40 years ago. Andrea Reber, I know that. Sorry.
Thank you. Thanks. And Marcia just rejoined. So let's try this one more time. And Andrea, just to give you context, we're waiting for quorum. We have technically 9 members and we need 5 for quorum. So we're just waiting for Marcia to come back to the room. Marcia, can we just take quorum one more time? Are you here?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, much better. Thank you so much. All right, so we'll get started. We'll do oh, I'm sorry. We have to make, yeah, go ahead, Garrick, help me out.
I would just make an announcement that everything is being recorded.
Yes, everything's being recorded. And also I want to also make an announcement that I prematurely sent in the agenda and I left 2 items off. And so I would like to make an amendment for public comment and adjournment, because we certainly need to be able to end the meeting at the end. And so we'll leave public comment to the end, followed by adjournment. Can I get a second on that?
I'll make a second. I would like to end eventually.
All in favor? Maybe.
Well, you have to roll call it.
Okay, Bill Newman,
Yes.
Renika,
Yes.
Marcia,
Yes.
and since Garrick, you made the
No, I still have
second.
to. I still
Well,
have
Garrick,
to.
okay, good.
Yes.
Garrick, okay, perfect.
And
Thank you so much. And I also, yes, I moved to add those 2. And it's important to hear people's voices from the community. I apologize, and I am human and made a mistake, and which we know all too well that sometimes people make mistakes. I just want to acknowledge the land that we are on, which Northampton stands and sits on the ground of our Pocumtuck and Nonotuck Indigenous peoples. So making acknowledgement to that. And I want to be able to approve the minutes from our last meeting. Is there a second to approve?
Seconded.
Okay, we'll do another roll call. Bill Newman,
Yes.
Felicia Lundquist, yes. Garrick Perry,
1 second. Sorry. Normally our minutes should be attached to the agenda and they're not. So I am.
oh, yeah. So we can abstain. Please don't do anything that you don't feel comfortable with. And if you haven't reviewed them, then can we?
Yeah.
I
so I'm
imagine that we could move that to the next meeting.
I would prefer that so that we are in compliance.
Yeah, and I think they should be part of the agenda. So I would ask that we defer.
Okay. So I don't know if we can strike that or if we have to take a roll to defer. Again, new to this position, so
No,
I'm
we'd be
gonna
fine. We can just move it to the next
okay.
agenda.
Okay, so our next agenda for the next month will approve both last meeting and October meeting.
Is that on the agenda? That it's supposed to be there, that we're supposed to do it?
Yes, approval of the minutes, but they're not attached. Marcia, my understanding is that folks don't feel comfortable approving them because they're not attached to the agenda.
I see. Okay. Well, I would think we'd need, just two people can say that and we just do it? Or do we have to come to agreement about that?
Well, it wouldn't pass quorum if 2 people out of the 5 don't agree. Or
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so what's, I'm sorry.
and it's also against, go ahead. Yes, Garrick.
Yeah, so what the issue is for transparency, we should have the agenda minutes attached to the, I'm sorry, the minutes of the previous meeting attached to the agenda so that not only commissioners can read it, but also the public in hopes of transparency. So I was the one who brought that up. And while it is an item on our agenda, we don't have the link. And we've done this before in city council where, perhaps our clerk has not finished the meetings or they weren't posted in time. So what we're just trying to do is make sure we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's so that next time we'll just have the approval of minutes, and these minutes will not only be sent out to everyone in the commission, but also be posted on the page for at least 48 hours.
Okay, clarification. Are they done? Have they even been done? That's what I want to know. That's why I'm asking. Are they done?
I believe they're
So it
posted.
sounds like no, because you would know if they were done, Felicia. Okay, so we need to make sure that we get a procedure in place to make sure that the minutes get done, because nothing will change if we just say, oh, we'll move them to next week and there's nobody assigned to do it.
Yes, I will make sure, Marcia, that they are attached to our next agenda.
Okay, thank you, hon.
You're welcome.
Where's the other co-chair?
She's not with us today. I don't know.
Okay.
Everyone has been informed of the meeting. So we move on to announcements. For some folks may be aware of our Northampton Interfaith Reparations Roundtable. I had the opportunity and pleasure to meet with some folks from the roundtable, including Judy, who's here with us tonight. And they would love to continue collaborating.
Andrea Reber also.
And Andrea, yes, thank you so much, Judy. We would love to continue collaboration and would love for folks to continue to be involved and engaged in their meetings. Their next meeting is dated for Monday, October 20th at 4:30 at St. John's. And you can contact Judy, and that's also posted to the agenda. And Judy, again, is here in the room, so folks can, if you see Judy in the community, please feel free to contact them. The Roundtable is just for folks that aren't aware, the Roundtable is a coalition of local faith organizations that support the city's official reparations efforts and advocates for racial justice. They work with us, and I know Marcia has been also actively involved in the past to hold, city accountable for addressing historical harms against Black residents. There's a desire for continued collaboration, and so we're looking for possible liaisons to be able to work with folks and, just continue to spread information and share information as we do. Also want to make an announcement that the Reparations for Massachusetts Task Group and the New England chapter of the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America, which is NCOBRA, an organization, they have their virtual statewide convening on reparations scheduled for Wednesday, tomorrow, October 8th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. There is contact information. Kathleen Anderson is one of those folks, and I know many folks know that. There's some contact information posted here on the agenda. Carl McCargo also is someone that's listed as a liaison or someone that you can get in contact with to be able to get information if you'd like to attend. We'd love to see as many folks from our commission represented there and community members. I want to give a moment if there's anything in terms of those two items. Can we do this? Can we do announcements, discussion, or again, new to this position? So I just want to make sure I'm not violating open meeting laws. And so Garrick, help me out because I know you do this a lot.
Yes, so this section is for anyone to make announcements
Perfect.
that are relevant. Well, City Council, we can make announcements, whatever we feel, and I think that the same would be here. So for instance, I would make an announcement that there is a call to the Black community open networking event happening in Springfield on Thursday, October 9th at 5:30 at 980 Bay Street in Springfield. So it's a space to talk about building community networking. I think things that we have talked about here in this group. So that would be my announcement. And then anyone else can announce.
Thank you. Does anyone else have announcements? Tom?
I wanted to announce that there are 2 nights of musical extravaganzas by Avery Sharp, Thursday and Friday night, and their benefit. The Friday nights at Edwards Church, and it's a benefit, and it's going to be two quartets and Avery Sharp percussionists. My friend Lola saw it and said it was out of this world.
That's awesome. Very
I think
exciting.
it's 7 o'clock at Edwards Church on Friday night. I can't remember the Thursday night one. I'll look it up and see if I can send it to you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move right along. So the next agenda item that we have here is an introduction to community commission guidelines. As many folks know, there has been in the past a conversation about Robert's Rules of Order. However, being sort of a colonized way of doing things, we do need some guidance and guidelines on setting some foundational things to prevent more harm as we study and continue to think about the harm that has been caused and not to try to replicate or recreate those harms. And so I want to take a moment for us to lead a discussion thinking about, and I have some general guidelines that we all should be adhering to, but also to be able to give this commission an opportunity to participate in setting some standard guidelines for this commission. And the first that I know would be really important so that we don't have any mishaps is any information requests need to go through the chairs unless they're assigned by assigned by the entire commission to have a liaison or somebody to do that. We also want to think about—
What does that mean, Felicia? That I don't even know what that means.
It's going to say, can you define what an information request is?
Yeah, I think for, request to have somebody attend our meetings to do a presentation, that would be something that needs to be discussed with the entire commission and commissioners. And that request should either go through our administrative assistant when we have one, which is also under the agenda of looking at the composition of our commission and what that looks like. As you know, we are down a number of commissioners and also down an administrative assistant. But as we are down those folks right now, things, direct communication should go through the chairs for setting up any meetings or having guest speakers come, that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
I
Yeah,
disagree
we've
with
never
that.
done that.
Nope. And I think that like we've brought people in and not had to go through the chairs, and it's just going to create a bottleneck. So I don't agree with that.
So how would that information get, this is a question. If any commissioner just invites anybody to attend our meetings without having a conversation with the chairs and making that connection, and then if the chair then assigns the person that suggested or wants to collaborate with somebody or bring someone in, can certainly be assigned to reach out and be the point person. But prior to that, how will it not be chaotic? Is my
How is
question.
it? I mean, like, we're already open to the public. People can come to our meetings regardless. And I think that we've been bringing people to the meetings and saying like, I met this person and they want to come talk to us and I'm putting an agenda item. I don't understand how it's chaotic if we put it on the agenda. If we
But you
say
have
that
to have
this is,
you have to have that conversation prior to. So
so then do we not to get to just put things on the agenda? Do we have to run them by you? Because I guess that's my other question. Because
so
we should just be able to say, this is what I want to talk about in the meeting and have the agenda item.
So there is an option that's also here on the agenda for this evening for a conversation for individuals to put agenda items for the following meetings, so that the commission can review, decide if that's a productive. Because part of the thing that what is really important is upholding productivity and quality. And if we just if anyone just gets to choose, and without having conversations with the community, we could be running in circles, possibly.
I don't agree with that because that's
Okay.
not how council does it either. City councilors can put things on the agenda. So like, I don't think that we should have to go through the chair and I think that that's actually creating a bottleneck. Especially since like, we do not have an administrative assistant. And I know that like, we reached out to have a conversation with you, Felicia, and it's been too busy. So like, I think that that's just
It
gonna
hasn't been
add.
too busy, actually, Renika, so that we can be really clear about that. It was Sage that reached out, and that's a conflict of interest at this point in time.
Well, that's all you had to say. It's a conflict of interest.
I shared that with Sage, and I did reach out, but I hear you, and we can
No,
we can
so
totally
I'm just
disagree.
saying that like, I'm not going to agree to rules where we have to go through you to bring people to the group. I'm just telling you right now, I don't agree with that.
And that's okay, because this is we're setting these community guidelines. Garrick, I see your hand.
So I think that if I'm hearing what you said, Felicia, was not inviting, it was information requests. So I want to set that aside, but I also wanted to address that in city council, if you want to put an agenda item, we contact the council president, which in the equivalent of that is our chair. And sometimes items do not make the immediate next agenda because we might have more things. And I think that's what Felicia is saying, is that if everybody just invited and put things on an agenda, we do have a limited time frame. So I think that seems like a reasonable request. I agree with Renika and Marcia that we should be allowed to contact whoever we like because we're grown people. We want to use our relationships. So I'm agreeing with Renika and Marcia.
And I'm
wait, hold on. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I'm just getting defensive. No, it's not.
This item is that just trying to organize how we set up our agendas.
Wait a minute, Marcia wasn't even in that conversation. I was asking something different. So I just wanted clarity, but I wasn't saying that I disagreed with it. I just wanted to understand what was being said. Just that was too general. So, but I think it's fine. I think my understanding is, and I've dealt with Laura quite a bit. My understanding was that when it came to most of the agendas that were being created for the city council, you would work through Laura, actually. Or at least that was my understanding, because anytime I asked for something to go on to that agenda, even an announcement, because I've gone up there and made an announcement, I went through Laura, but maybe she was talking to Chris and I just didn't, Councilman Jarrett, and I didn't know that. So that could be what was going on. I'm not sure.
Garrick.
And to that point, I will say that Laura herself has asked to be contacted less. She's also the assistant for our charter review commission. And so as well as a number of other things. So part of this is making sure we utilize our resources and don't burn each other out. So, Alex Jarrett has all the discretion our administrative assistant doesn't. And sometimes it is overwhelming. And so just relaying all the information of how it works in city council. That's it.
Yeah, and I do
Here's
want to
the
say that
bottom. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Felicia.
I do want to say that I have been in communication with Laura and Pamela Powers, who is also a point person that I've been in communication with. And I do understand that they, at this point, because we do not have an administrative assistant, that they were going to see about getting a Google account so that things can go filter through, so that there's someone paying attention to things coming through for a Google account for myself as the chair at this point in time. I am not trying to restrict people from having conversations or building collaboration across communities. I merely am asking that any information requests need to go through myself or Jasmine unless assigned by the entire commission during one of our meetings, that person should be the point person. That's all I'm requesting.
So just for clarity's sake, I often brought people to the meetings. So this is something that I would go back and forth with. At first, I was just letting Usman know and letting Sarah know, hey, I'm going to have this person come and testify. And I always tried to give them a couple of days notice, or as soon as I would know, I would email it to them. And then once Sage took over and he was coordinating the administrative stuff, then I would just shoot it to Sage and say, hey, can you let Usman know that I'm having this person come and speak this month? So it was never a problem with any of that. I never had any conflicts. So I think as long as it's clear, I think what I hear in what Renika was raising, and I would be concerned about this myself, is just that what doesn't happen is if we ask for an agenda item to be put on the table, like toward the end of our meetings in June and May, there started to be conflict that came up because we were trying to get certain items on the agenda and people were trying to strong arm each other into doing certain things. And so I think that's really what's out at the issue on the table, and that people were trying to ensure that certain agenda items didn't get onto it. So I think that as long as we're being clear about that kind of stuff and not allowing that to happen, I feel like, you know, toward that end, even with all of that, I still was able to get the people to come and speak that I had requested. So as long as there's honesty around that, I don't see it as a problem. But if there is an honesty, it becomes a problem when other people are strong arming each other.
Yeah.
That's where it's an issue.
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
be honest, people. It's not just we want to put an agenda item out, because if that's the issue, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Marcia. And it's not about strong arming anyone or censorship. It's about just productivity and making sure that we are prioritizing the needs so that we're moving forward and that there's a clear line of communication and that folks are aware, right? So this is about transparency as well. And so I don't think.
I think what my request is that you remember that the chair has always been a facilitative role. It's never been a command and control role. I think that's what I hear behind Renika's comment.
Okay. Well, no one's trying. No, it's not about commanding or trying to overpower anyone. I do want to.
That's real, honey. Don't blow that off like
I'm
that's
not.
a simplistic
Listen,
thing. No,
I'm not
all the time. Let's
Marcia, let me. I do know. I work for a company that we talk about power, privilege, and positionality.
Okay.
And so at this point, facilitating, we're going to move forward with the next item, and I'll request for it. You also will have the opportunity to be able to put things on the agenda of the meeting before or bring it up as an agenda item so that people have their voices heard and we're centering voices. So moving along, I would like for folks to take a few minutes to think about guidelines of like what you would like to see. One of the things that I think is really important when we're talking about centering voices for me, if everyone hasn't spoken at least once, and people need to allow space for others to be able to speak in the commission. And so giving that time and that space, and then also thinking about time limits for people so that we can be productive and move through our agenda at timely fashion. And I think this is just something that I've watched City Council utilize, and I think that it's a good tool to be able to be productive. And so those are two suggestions that I have in terms of guidelines, and would love to hear other folks in terms of guidelines, what they would like to see or feel are important. And so, and giving a moment for people to reflect and think about other guidelines that they would like to introduce so that we
Can you
continue
give
to.
an example? Once again, can you be concrete? What does that mean concretely?
If not everyone has spoken at least once and people want to speak, that folks need to allow that space for an individual to be able to speak if they have not been heard at least once. So that's allowing space for others who haven't spoken to speak up. So in this moment, it has been you, myself, Marcia, and Garrick, really the only ones in Renika that we've heard from. And so, I think that it's important, Bill to weigh in. I think it's important for other commissioners to also weigh in. And so if anyone has more ideas in terms of guidelines, that would be helpful to help us continue to move forward and foster collaboration, demonstrate compassion and empathy, as well as holding up quality and respect for each other and transparency. What are some of the things that people need from this?
So I think that the goal of people speaking, that's for the chair to facilitate. Like, so like if that's for you to like recognize, or like, let's say all of us, like, so let's say me, Marcia, Garrick, and Bill all have our hands up. Marcia, Garrick, and I have already spoken. So you notice that Bill hasn't, so then you call on Bill.
That's
and that's how that goes. That's not for us to monitor per se. That's more you and Jasmine thing.
But I'm also everyone needs to understand that that's what's happening though, because I don't think that everyone knows that that's always the case. And this is just moving forward. These are just making sure that we're all like, aware.
Yes.
That these are the.
I know. Let me finish because I'm not finished yet. Having said that, everybody at all points in time have either not spoken much in a meeting or have felt like they have been railroaded in a meeting and talking. And so like, this is a very difficult, this is a very contentious topic. And so like, it's very hard to put parameters around it. And also I would like to point out that for City Council, the 2-minute rule is for public comment. It is not for the counselors. Like, that is another thing where the chair is going to have to make a decision. And they routinely go over their meeting times. So I think that like, there is like, that is another thing that like, we can try to put a number around. I'm not comfortable with that. But it's more of a, like, needs to be moderated from the co-chairs.
That's fine, Renika. I think that what's important is that we all need to hold each other accountable. And I, as the chair or the co-chair, can certainly, make that effort. And I think it's also that we as a whole need to hold each other and ourselves and our colleagues, our constituents, our city council members, our community members, and our city accountable to these standards. And so when people haven't had the chance to speak or there isn't, respect, we all should be aware of that and holding each other accountable. Bill Newman, I see your hand. I want to recognize you and to speak, please.
Thank you. I would like to just reaffirm, I think, the importance of having an agenda. I think that commissioners should be allowed to bring who they wish to testify. If it's relevant to what the topic will be, I think that we have to exercise some discretion in terms of trying to be consistent. And I also think it's important for the chairs to have put on the agenda at least a suggested time frame so that the meeting itself doesn't become one person taking 45 minutes and we have 6 or 7 other items. So I think the approval of the previous meeting is a good idea. And I think a time frame so that we can use our time productively is also important.
Thank you. Garrick?
I'm muted. So I want to agree with what Renika said, is that this is a duty of the chairs to kind of do it, but I think it's also important to recognize that we all can be cognizant of each other's time and space. I say this as a person who talks a lot. I think that when it comes to time limits, I get iffy. Mostly because part of what the beauty of our subcommittees and smaller, committees and commissions are a chance for the public and also the commissioners to really engage in these things. So I am also uncomfortable with a time limit.
We don't, we
sorry.
don't, oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
But one thing that I think we could model is that, when city councilors have their chance to speak or discuss an item. So once an item that is being brought forward for a vote, there's a period for discussion. I know we're not following Robert rules really to the T, but one thing that our council presidents have done is allow a round of people to go and then stop and ask if anyone else needs or would like to speak. And so maybe we can model that.
That's,
Sure, I'm done.
no, I didn't, I'm
Okay.
just agreeing that that's fine. And I think that, I mean, ultimately, the suggestion that would be that we listen and communicate clearly, and there's a balance of speaking and listening, and that people are, coming from a place where they're cognizant of the time and space that they're taking up. And if other people haven't been able to speak or haven't had a place to center their voice, that there's space to do that is the ultimate, I think, goal that I was, or guideline that I was recommending. And I think that in terms of a time frame for guests, we can set that and agree as a commission that, timeframes. And so, and as the chair, holding people accountable if they, go over that time.
I want to be cognizant too that we're talking about issues specifically having to do with African American issues. And so if African American people feel the need to talk more, I don't see anything wrong with that. So I don't want us to be like over compensating.
It's not,
Let me finish my thought. I don't want us to feel like we need to overcompensate. If, when you said Marsha, Garrick, and Renika are speaking the most, I looked around the room and I was like, oh, okay, well, those were the Black people in the room. So that makes the most sense to me that we might at times, I'm not saying this time, but I'm saying in general, if that comes up, I don't think we need to that doesn't mean that people aren't being heard. It might be something that we feel that we know more about. We might be more animated about it because it directly affects our lives. So I just don't want us to get we don't have to get all wrapped around a tree around that. That's all I'm saying. I just want to be cognizant that we're not talking about the budget for the school district. We're talking about issues that directly reflect on African American lives. So, or Black lives, let me even broaden it out to that point. So I just want to be clear about that. And I don't want to have to feel like, oh, that means I got to stop and make sure I hear what, I don't know, Andrea or this person or that person feels about it if it's not really relevant to the discussion at the moment. So I just want to put that in there.
I appreciate that, Marsha, and we will definitely centralize marginalized voices. That I think is understood, but if it's not, now it is. And that's and when we say balancing speaking, listening, and making I statements, it's thinking about identities in those marginalized communities and being able to center those voices, and also thinking about the intersections of those identities as well. So I appreciate that.
Now, the issue that I would like to bring up is that the chairperson, whether that's worked out between you and Jasmine or however, has always been at the city office, this city council office, so that there's a venue for people that want to come in person and show up. So I'm concerned that we don't lose that. Because I don't see anybody at that office right now. When I look here, there's nobody there. So
no, there was an there was an accessibility issue, but in the future, we have made, I have asked about reservations in terms of the space in the rooms, and if there are not other things booked, we will be able to continue to have hybrid versions of these meetings.
No. We've always had our meetings at that well, we didn't start out at that city council. Remember, we started out at the other room. So, but there's always been a room there for us, whether it be in that original building or in the building across the way. And I think that's critical. And what I don't want to happen is for this to happen again, where there's nobody sitting at a city office where if people want to show up and want to come in person and speak their mind, there's nobody there. I think
Garrett?
that discourages people wanting to participate.
Sure. Garrick?
Yes, I think that, thank you, Marcia, for bringing that up. Felicia actually also mentioned that this was just, we are outside of our normal cycle and those spaces need to be reserved. Much like when we started switching with Anthony, Sage had an issue with trying to make sure that we were booking the spaces as well at the start. So Felicia has just said that she wants to make sure that from here on out, we will always have a space for people to come physically. So she's agreeing with you and says she will work on it for the next time. I agree that it's.
Yeah, I understood that. I'm just saying, okay, I brought it up. I've made it clear what my feelings are. I got it when Felicia said it. I'm just being clear that I don't care if the space where we originally said we were going to meet, we always found a place downtown to meet. And so I just want to make sure we don't do this again. And if we do find ourselves in this situation, I would say we don't have the meeting. We need to make sure there's a place where people can come to if they want to say there's peace or whatever.
I would say then, Marcia, this sounds like something you could volunteer to help assist with. When we talk about assigning roles, I think our chair is not supposed to do everything. So I think this is a great opportunity for you or someone else to volunteer. I don't think I can do it, or maybe if Jasmine wants to do it, but I do think someone should be in charge of doing those things.
That's fine. I'm happy to do that. I don't, just let me know. You need somebody to set up space. I can set up space. That's not
Okay. So Marcia, we're letting you know, as we will
Done.
continue with our meetings, that you can check in and confirm that the space is reserved. And there was an email that went out earlier last week sometime about protocol on how to reserve space. And so Laura and Pam were kind to share, and so you can work with them to make sure that
They sent that to us or they sent it to you?
they said that it was to me.
Okay, so if you send it to me, I'm happy to work with Laura closely to get that done for the future. No problem.
Okay. I mean, it's just the email was that we need to I will send you an email after this in terms of the procedures for the physical location. There's for the future meetings in the council chamber. It needs to be entered into their modules, and so you can let them know when we'll be having our meetings, and they can set that up for us. Okay. Moving along, is there any other discussion in terms of thinking about commission guidelines moving forward so that we can continue to uphold quality and productivity for this commission?
I do have one. I need to go back to the report. We were asked to send in all of our changes to the report by a certain date. I made sure I did that. I sent in all of my changes with all the questions and different things like that. And I don't believe any of the changes that I requested even went into that report. So I've been wanting to get back to that since that meeting, because I don't even understand how that happened when we had a deadline of which to get it in by, and I met that deadline and spent my weekend reading through all that material.
I will check into report changes, Marcia, and where they incorporated or not. Bill?
I have two quick things. One is in terms of our process tonight, I may receive a text or an email that says I have to be somewhere at 6:30. I may have to leave here at 6:30, and that might affect your quorum. So I just wanted everyone to know that. If I have to leave, I have to leave. Obviously, we started 15 minutes late, and sorry about that, but that may happen. In terms of the report changes, sure, let's put it on the agenda sometime. What do people have? And let's just do it. Great. I think it's a great idea.
Thanks. Renika?
So for next month's meeting, second Tuesday is election day. Tuesday after that is Veterans Day. So we're
Oh.
so I just wanted to like put that out there that like, so before we leave, we have to pick a date and like check the calendars and see when we can meet. Cause I'm sure everybody else is getting thrown off by 2 holidays in a row.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a great point. So let's
You
just
said
do that.
them-
Let's just do that now. So typically, moving forward, we will continue to meet on the first first Tuesday of the month. But because of the month of November, would we want to do the 18th? Because I don't think I think that's probably the only date that would work.
So
can
what's
do
the
it.
date?
Sorry.
What's the second Tuesday?
The second Tuesday is Veterans Day.
Oh,
So
veteran.
yeah,
Oh.
so the fourth, the first Tuesday is Election Day and the second is Veterans Day. Sorry.
I see Garrick's hand. Garrick.
Yes. First of all, Renika, thank you for catching that. Man. And then second, I feel like with the turnout for today, it's important to connect with the other commissioners so that we make sure we can have a quorum. And so by not arbitrarily, but picking a date now with just us here could lead us to an issue. So maybe if everyone else in the commission is accepting, we can have Felicia or Jasmine reach out to everyone.
Yeah.
We can do a doodle poll for a time.
Yeah.
Just need to have responses. So
Yeah.
is that acceptable for everyone?
It is. It would be if the folks here on this, our commissioners right now, could commit to that, it would be a lot easier to get to see if this time would work for. It could be a time that would work for Jasmine, Emma Khan, and it's I'm seeing Marissa.
Yes. I can
I would-
do it. I just have to leave 15 minutes early. So I have to be done at 6:45 because I have a standing 7 o'clock meeting on that time. But other than that, I'm fine.
Okay.
I would say let's meet is Veterans Day a formal holiday?
I would not want to meet
Yes.
on Veterans Day. And
Yes. So city offices are closed.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. That's fine. But I'm with you, Felicia. Let's choose the 18th and then let's see if those folks can make that meeting. It's just easier than to try to send out a doodle poll and try to get everybody who's sitting right here, right now. So I can
Okay.
do the 18th.
Garrick, can you do the 18th?
I don't know if I can. I can't give you that answer. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I'll let you know in the doodle poll.
Okay. Well, I'll put the 18th as a suggestion, and then also the 25th, because it sounds like the 4th and the 11th definitely won't work. And perhaps if it's not on a Tuesday, we could also look at
Isn't that the week of Thanksgiving?
it is. But if we're gonna try to keep it to
That's not real. That's not
right,
realistic.
I understand that. That's why I'm suggesting the 18th. But
Right.
Yeah.
I say the 18th, and if Garrett can't make it, then can the other people make it? Otherwise, we may have to not meet we'll have to, maybe the subcommittees can meet or the working groups can meet. But I
right,
can,
I'll figure out a doodle poll with the 18th as a hope that folks can meet, and then I'll put in a couple other dates.
We'll
and
also
then-
have to cross check the city calendar too, right?
Right.
Okay, so yeah, so maybe.
Hopefully the 18th works. Okay.
Yes.
All right, moving along. So I just wanted to go back because I'm also cognizant of time that it's almost 6 o'clock, and then Bill mentioned that he needs to leave early, and then we won't have quorum. So wanting to just make some I heard some agenda items, and also just for on the discussion we have a conversation to talk about quorum size, composition, and appointment process for membership moving forward. As you all know, we're down several members. And so the commission right now, it's stated that shall be a public body of at least 9 people and not more than 11 members, made up of the Northampton residents with a demonstrated interest, experience, or expertise in the issue under review by the special commission. We lost Jeremy, so we have our youth commissioner that we need to think about in addition to.
Jeremy suggested somebody.
Okay. So I want to have a conversation about the size, the composition, and the appointment process to begin to either add folks and replace folks to the commission. And we also need to find an administrative assistant to work with. And there has been some suggestions. The assistant who works for the Human Rights Commission may be an option that Jasmine was going to speak to. And if other people have suggestions, this is the time to have a conversation or discussion about it. So.
Okay, can we take one thing at a time? So the first thing you put out there was the commission size and number of people. It seems to me as though we set out to do 11. We never achieved 11. I think we should achieve 11 because look at just what happened here today. So I think we should, and we could have at any point have done the 11 people. We just, for some reason, I'm not sure why we didn't. So I would push for us to do the full 11 people and for go through, like Emma Khan represents Ruggles. There are a couple of places that needed to be represented, and to make sure that happens, and for us to go back to those original Black people that that applied, that we never went back to to ask if they wanted to come on to the commission. That's my suggestion.
Is there others that have suggestions about the size moving
No,
forward?
I actually agree with Marsha. I brought up the 11 several times because like people move, people leave, people get sick, whatever reasons. We want to make sure that like we we have the people that we need when we need them. And also like I think that we should be more cognizant of who we're filling those positions with. Like we're going to be getting into some very heavy topics about reparations and Blackness. And I think that if we're going to be talking about eligibility requirements for like reparations, these positions should be filled by Black people who this is affecting.
Okay, so it sounds like at our next meeting for one of the agenda items we can move forward with would talk about quorum size, composition, appointment process, and membership, and eligibility as part of the agenda item for next meeting.
Eligibility for the members or eligibility for reparations?
This would be eligibility for members, and Garrick has his hand up, so I'm going to call on Garrick.
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I agree with everyone that you know, the more people we can have, you know, it makes for a more robust discussion. One of the reasons why we picked 9 to 11 is that the more people you get, the harder it is to have a succinct meeting. And then the less people, then you have quorum issues. So we thought 9 to 11 was good. So if everyone feels like that's a good thing, well, again, this is a discussion. We're not making any decisions right now, but I feel comfortable. And I feel like that's what I'm hearing from everyone is that 11 is a good number to strive for. I also agree with Marsha that the first step is to look at the people who had already put in applications, and some of those people have been interviewed. It'd be nice to touch base to see if they are still interested. The last thing is, I think it would behoove us to look at both the size, but also the qualification, I wouldn't say qualifications, but
Eligibility.
and then let's all come up with what we think would be places to look at. I think that one thing that's come up in these discussions is that, and some outside discussions, is we often look at Northampton High School as just as the only high school, but there's also Smith Oak. And thank you, Marcia, for bringing in folks from Smith Oak. My daughter goes to Smith Oak, and those voices are often not centered. So perhaps a thing that we could look at is having a student representative from each of those districts. So that is a suggestion I have.
Great.
As long as that's not going to take away from the other positions, that if we want to add, that we add another student so that it would make us 12, but I wouldn't take away from having another person that is a working or an adult on the commission. But I like the idea of, I believe if I remember, it was a student that was from the Student Youth Council or the Mayor's Council, something like that. And Jeremy was from that council. So the young woman that we were talking about from Smith Oak is from the African American youth group over there. Now, whether or not she's on that council, I don't know. And it may be very easy to get her on there. I don't know how that works with the mayor's office. But I would be concerned about having somebody who's not, I would be concerned about taking away a seat from an adult to give it to another young person.
Okay.
And the only other thing I would add with the people is, I feel like we're heavily represented with educated people, and that I'm all for it. Love education, all for it. Good thing my parents sent me to learn how to read and write. But I do think there are working class people in this community, and we need to be more cognizant of that. And there are Black working class people in this community. And I think we should look from that group of people as well.
Thank you, Marcia. Garrick?
I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. One, looking at what the appointments that include, it was actually a member from the Northampton Human Rights Commission and the Northampton Youth Commission. And maybe we just change that to say from one of the schools. So when we look at it, so we can take into account whoever Jeremy put forward, but also reach out to that. I would feel comfortable, Marcia, making that amendment or adjustment, because I think it's important to have the youth and people who are going to reap the benefits of this work to be involved as much as possible. The second is, I am uncertain, Marcia, so when we put the appointments, what is needed, how would we word socioeconomic status or something like or education? Like, I'm just wondering how we would, like, when we put out the net of folks we're looking for, you're not educated, or you don't make them, like, we really have to get into some of those things, I think, of what.
I think it would be where we pull from. There's a couple of different ways. One, we don't have to necessarily, we could look at, there's several people that work, there's lots of what I would consider working class jobs right downtown Northampton where Black people work and live. We would ask and see if some of the people will, if we don't have these people already in they may have already applied, because it could be somebody who's retired. You don't have to still be working to be on this committee, so this commission. But I would try to look at that as a part of, and if you do things like, I'm just going to pull from the historic Northampton, as a person who goes to historic Northampton quite a bit, most of the people over there are educated. Nothing wrong with that. I'm all for it. But realistically, that's who you're going to pull. If you want somebody from Forbes Library, more than likely, they're going to have a master's in library science. I mean, let's be real, you know what I'm saying? So let's I'm just saying, let's be a little bit more why don't we ask for the churches? We have the round table. We could ask somebody, we could ask for some of the church people.
Well, if there's an application process, we can certainly spread the word and do outreach to make sure that people are applying that are coming from diverse backgrounds. That includes socioeconomic backgrounds, that includes education. We, again, want to center marginalized voices, which includes those intersections between class, race, gender. There's nobody, that
There may be some people already that have applied. We just haven't looked on their application. I don't know.
right. So I think for our next meeting, part of the discussion would be the process and what that looks like, and we can get some information prior to see who's already applied, and then thinking about outreach. And to Garrick's point, criteria, eligibility, and being able to make sure that people have access that have an interest in this work across the board, both at the youth level and the different spaces that house youth, for a better word, lack of a better word, and thinking about the current vacant positions that we have. Is there anyone that hasn't spoken already that would like to add to this piece around thinking about the composition, size, and appointment process, so that we have some suggestions for moving forward? All right.
I would also
Oh, Garrett,
add,
I'm sorry. I just saw Garrick Perry's hand. I'm sorry. And then Marsha, you after Garrick.
I just wanted to say too, in terms of size, going back to what Marsha was saying, if we add one person, it puts it to 12. One of the reasons why in a lot of these commissions and boards, you go with odd numbers is if you have to make a decision, you could get locked into a stalemate easily. It happens a lot of times on city council subcommittees because there's 4. And I believe Alan Seawald always is like, I keep telling y'all, don't do even numbers. So I just would put that into the mix, is that when we look at our size composition, if we do want to add, we would have to add, I would suggest adding 2 instead of just 1.
Thank you. Marsha?
I'm gonna let it go. That's fine.
Okay. Is there any more discussion in terms of this particular topic? Okay. Garrick, I'm glad that you mentioned Alan Seawall, because I have on here also for discussion a refreshers on communication protocols and procedures. I think especially with open meeting law, it would be helpful to invite, particularly if we have new members, for Alan to come back and give us a refresher on open meeting laws. And also, as one of the co-chairs, newer to the position, I too would like to make sure that I'm in alignment and not going against any open meeting laws or requests of the city and the commission. Is there any discussion around inviting Alan to come back? And does anyone want to volunteer to reach out to Alan to see if he's available?
I have to call over there to get to the to set up the place. I can just ask if we could get a time for him to come out in either, what are you thinking, the December or January meeting?
Yeah, it would have to be after we have
So like January, February?
I think this is another conversation for the commission, because I'm still here. There's still people that may need a refresher that are not necessarily new members. So I would be open to the December meeting, or I don't know if November seems like it might be tough to get in, and we don't even know what date we're meeting. So I imagine the December meeting might be the best meeting.
Okay, so December.
Well, hold on. I want to, if anyone in the meeting here has any thoughts about the December meeting, or disagrees or agrees.
I've always asked for a 1-pager like cheat sheet that if we could at least get that, I think that would help give us some guidance that we'd have on hand. And so we could actually set up for that person to come here.
Okay. Garrick?
Yes, so I do think a refresher is needed for everyone, but especially for new members like Emma Khan and Jasmine have not even gone through. I mean, I guess Jasmine probably may have gone through training,
Maybe through the Human Commission. Yeah.
but I am uncertain. So I do think the idea is great. The thing I'll say about Alan Seawald is the solicitor is that he is on retainer for the city. So we do not need to start planning this before we need him. So let's get and for the next week, and then
Sorry,
I think
up.
Marcia's right, December or January. Sorry,
You
I'm agreeing with you,
up.
Marcia. I'm saying just December or January feels more feasible for him, and we do not need to contact him before we are ready. Alan Seawald is on retainer for the whole city, and for that reason, Felicia, you should be the one to contact Alan
Okay.
Seawald.
So I'll reach out to Alan Seawald. Marcia, you don't need to do that, and I'll
Wait a
ask.
minute, what was your rationale for that? Because he's on retainer, meaning what? He can't talk to a commissioner?
He can talk to whoever he likes, but also just in terms of organizing that if Felicia needs to ask a question about what is legal, what conflicts of interest are, she should begin that relationship, I believe. And so I'm saying that for this purpose, as a new chair, introducing herself to the solicitor would seem to be the best thing to do.
Okay, Eric.
Well, I will reach out to Alan and also build that relationship. And Marcia, I think you already have a relationship too. So, it will give me the opportunity to network and figure out who
I don't
he
know
is.
the man. It's fine. I just thought I don't know what that was about, but that's fine.
Okay.
It doesn't, I don't need the extra work, girl. I'm fine with it.
All right. So we'll the December meeting, we'll see if he's available for that. Is there any discussion? Anyone have anything else? I wanted to bring up accessibility. So obviously we're Zooming, and for some people Zoom is accessible and easy and helpful, and for some folks it's not. I wanted just to bring up accessibility as a general sort of piece. If there are things that people need in terms of accessibility, also encourage people to let me know, or Jasmine know as the chairs, so that we can make sure that people have what they need. Garrick.
Yes, I just wanted on this accessibility piece to state that I think it goes back to the discussion about giving people space to speak. It has been an issue sometimes at city council meetings. If people are cross-talking, those with hearing accessibility issues can't hear when people are talking over one another. So I think that's another, just a callback to accessibility isn't just mobility issues for folks. So.
Yeah, and sometimes it can also be visuals or needing something printed, or there can be lots of different things, right? And so wanting to make sure that that people have the report and are able to read it. And if they're having an issue with the computer, that maybe they need a printed copy, maybe they, if that's the case and they don't have access to be able to do that, those are things that I should be aware of, so that we can get the access that people need to be able to make sure that they can contribute and be productive.
I do have an issue though, that I think, speaking to the sort of, I think when I brought up the issue of people sort of jumping over each other or having conversation and people sort of strong arming one another. And because Jasmine's not here, I don't know where we should deal with this, but this needs to be dealt with, and maybe we should. I'm not sure why Jasmine's not here, because so a couple of different things. One is I was unaware that we had an agenda, because we've always had the policy that if you had items, you sent them in. I didn't get anything from you that said, hey, I'm putting together the agenda, send in items. That was just a general thing that both Sarah and Usman did. Maybe that was just out of, I don't know why they did that, but so moving forward, it would be good for us to know by what date to send you items.
Well, we're gonna, yeah, So,
interested in that. Let me just finish.
well, let me respond because I did say this earlier that we talked about putting agenda items on at the end of this meeting or sending them in. So we did discuss that earlier. I just want to make that clear. And also I sent an email, Marcia, to members earlier in September asking them about did they have things that they wanted to discuss or what were they looking forward to in terms of the commission. So I did.
No, hold on, let me stop you right there because I got the email that you're talking about. I'm gonna keep that. That's part of the reason why I wanted to have a one-on-one with you about that email. But I'm talking about, it was just sort of a general email that always went out. Hey, we're putting together the agenda and we would send in items. So one, I did not realize that this agenda was put together. And then two is, I would have expected, especially because you're an OD person, for you to come into this meeting and said something to the effect of like, hey, we're going to try to we're going to pull this commission back together, but we've got to acknowledge some things here. And we had two leaders that just got up and walked out. And so like, we're on leader 2 now that has done this. So to like not acknowledge any of like this shouldn't, I don't know what words you want to put around it or how you want to term it, but highly unusual things for professionals to do, especially in a commission setting. We're not a committee, you know what I mean? We have to swear and take an oath and all this other stuff to do this. So there's some acknowledgement around behavioral stuff that we've not really talked about. And for the co-chair to not be here, there's no clarity as to why she's not here. I want us, the next meeting, we gotta approach this a little differently in my mind. Now, I'm not saying that's in your mind, I'm saying this is my mind. So I would like at least some acknowledgement, like, hey, we're on leader 2 here. You're now leader 3. And we've got a body of work we're trying to get done. It's not unusual for leaders to fall out, but the way these 2 people have done it is unusual. And in part because of the heat that was going on toward the end. And the lack of like acknowledgement of that as professionals, to me, I find disturbing. Like, ain't no harm, no foul to be like honest and clear with folk about, hey, this is what's happening here. And we need to, there's conflict and different things going on. And as a group, we're gonna pull together and we're gonna set ourselves, we're gonna still get this work done. We need some of that. We're on leader 3 now. We need some of that. So I'm just being honest from my perspective. That's all.
I appreciate that, Marcia, and recognizing that we're trying to create safer spaces that are more inclusive, and that's really essential. I think there's been a lot of harm that has been done, and I think that the loss of many members is due to some of that harm, and so we have to actively engage to understand and work with how things like structural and systematic challenges show up. You talked earlier about the policies and the power dynamics and privileges and the disproportionate gaps. That's all real, and we acknowledge those things. And several of the members that are not here are due to the harm that they've experienced, I imagine.
I don't know if it's for that. I would say that's a stretch for Sarah and Usman, but if you think that that's what it might be, that very well may be what it is. I don't know. But what is more important is that the people that are left behind to pick up the pieces and going forward from I just expect that at least that acknowledgement, because I think that for Black people, we often find ourselves in these kinds of positions where we're kind of left with like, whoa, our leadership pulls out. You say that might be why. I don't know that to be true, and we're kind of lost as to what is going on. So I'm just acknowledging what to me is it's like the elephant running around the room. And I can't see going through a whole meeting and not acknowledging that. And I don't understand why somebody would take a co-chair position and what is
I mean, we
just need
Marcia,
to
we don't know what happened to Jasmine. There could have been
I'm
some
not saying
emergency,
that I know
and
what
so
happens to.
we can move forward. We know she's not here. We can't
What I'm
continue.
saying is that there were issues around that even, so we need to come back to this, and I hear you around like all these dotting the i's and crossing the t's, I get that, but I don't see how we jump over that stuff.
Well, it's very
That
clear
would be
that
a stretch.
we need a reset. And I think creating that, some guidelines, having some conversations to be a more collaborative, effective, and productive process, where, some of the things that have happened or actions as a result of systemic oppression of racism, that results in hostility, harm, and hurt. We definitely need a reset, and which is why we're setting up community, commission guidelines. We're trying to, make sure that we're in alignment and understand what the policies and practices are. And if those policies and practices are harmful, we've done some work around, trying to figure out ways that we combat that. And so I don't think that people are not acknowledging the harms that have been done. I think we're trying to figure out and navigate moving forward, what does that look like, and turning on the reset. And that's, actively listening, respecting others, taking the time to be transparent, allowing for people's experiences.
No, we're not, there was no acknowledgement there, Felicia. We just jumped into another agenda. That's what we always did in the past, but we're on leader 3 now. I don't think we can continue doing that. That's what I'm saying. That's what we've been doing. I'm not willing to go further with that because it hasn't worked. Like when a thing doesn't work, don't keep doing it. So I'd rather do something wrong than keep doing something I know does not work.
Okay, thank you. So I want to acknowledge it's 6:25. We still have one community member on. I don't know if if folks feel they have other things to share in terms of topics for next meeting. It's, I can hear that, we have to figure out, some acknowledgement, and then also we needed a refresher on open meeting laws and just things that will allow us to be productive. And I want to also be, cognizant of public comment if there is any public comment, because we've lost most of the public already.
Well, Andrea's here. I don't know if she wants to say anything.
Hi, folks. No, I don't have anything to say. I think you're being really thorough in figuring out these policies and procedures, and carry on. And I know it's really hard work, especially when you're down 2 or 3 members and others haven't shown up. So I really, I empathize, and I don't have any suggestions of how to make it different for right now, but thank you for your good work.
Thank you.
I would move to adjourn then.
Yep.
I second that.
Bill Newman,
Yes.
Marsha Morris,
Yes.
Renika Montana. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, Renika.
It's fine. Yeah.
No, it's like I can say it. It's just like the two of them together. I'm like, I either want to say Montgomery or Tamaclo, and it comes out with like jumbo. So Montgomery, Tamaclo,
Yes.
Garrick Perry.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So it's we're adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you, Felicia.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
You're
Take care.
welcome.
Have a good week.
All right.
You
Bye,
too.
everyone.